Okay, hello everyone. I am live. Hello, I'm Dr. Sheena Horsford. Come on in. It's nice to, as people are starting to come in, I'm just going to wait for some people to come in. All right. Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Coming on in. Come on in. I'm just going to wait for more people to come on. And then we'll start getting started. We are talking tonight about communication. How do you communicate? What does that look like in relationships? So we are talking to a couple today about communication. Hey, so nice to see you here. So nice to see you. We're just going to wait for a little bit before we get started with everyone. How's everyone doing? Just give me like a thumbs up or a heart or something if you're having a pretty good day, if things are going pretty good for you today. Heart, thumbs up, what have you. Let me make sure the guests are coming on as well. Away from this. Yes. All right. I love the thumbs up. Yes, heart. Let me just see if the guests are, to make sure they're on here. So it might kick me out for a moment. If it does, then I'll just come back on, okay? Okay. There are my guests. So I'm just gonna wait for a few more minutes for some more people. Yes, okay, I see it. Great. Just give me a few moments. I'm just waiting for some more people to join on, and then we will start and bring our guests on. Again, my name is Dr. Sheena Horsford, and tonight we're talking about communication. What does it look like? How do you communicate in a relationship? And yes, okay, just a few more minutes. So I've been asking people to tell me how they're doing as they are coming in here. And we'll go ahead and get started. Let me see. All right. So let me tell you first what's about to happen. So again, my name is Dr. Sheena, and I am a couple and family therapist. And so what I do is I work with couples. I work with individuals, couples, and families, and I help them in order to work through issues. Well, specifically in relationships, I help them to work through issues related to communication, just not connecting, and so forth. And so that's what we're going to kind of talk about tonight. And who better to talk to than a couple who has been married for a while and they've been doing this. So let me bring on Doctors Olele, excuse me. Okay, I think I have added you. Oh, there they are. There's the
Hey, what's
wonderful
up?
couple. Yes. How are you two doing?
We're good. Thank you.
Good. So let me tell you, you look great. You look fabulous, actually. So I started telling people a little bit about who I am. Again, my name is Dr. Sheena. And so what I'm doing is, what I'm doing is, tonight we're going to talk about communication. We're going to talk about being in a relationship. And we just want to hear it better from the people who are married and do this on a daily basis. So first, I want you to introduce yourselves. First, for you all who don't know who they are, I have the special guest, the honor of having Doctors Olele. Did I say that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Great, great, great. And so they are both Hampton alum. And so before we get started, because I said doctors with an S, I just want to really first like shout out the Black excellence in the room. You know, let's just give ourselves some credit for a moment. Like, this is really nice. And let me say this, you are not required to be a doctor or from Hampton to be on live with me, but this is just really, really nice to see right now. You know what I'm saying? So if you could just talk a little bit about yourselves in terms of just saying, I guess, how we could, hey, we got Hamptonians joining in. And so if you could tell a little bit about your love story, I should say, or well, first, before you say that, first introduce yourselves. I have Chi Chi and Ifi. And if you could just say a little bit about yourselves as individuals before we start talking about you as a couple.
I'll let my go first.
Okay.
He looked right at you.
So my name is Chi Chi Olele. I am a pharmacist, also active duty, and I am Ifi's wife, and I am a mother of 2 kids, a girl and a boy.
Ifi?
Okay. And I was like,
Keep it short and sweet, right?
Ifi Olele, Nigerian, grew up in Southern California, Los Angeles, huge Laker fan, but we're not in the playoffs, but it's all good. And I went to my undergrad at UCLA. That's where I was initiated to become a man of alpha.
Oh my God! So
Then
we're doing all the shout outs. Okay.
Yeah. So I went to UCLA, got my psychobiology degree, and then I went to Hampton University to get my master's in medical science, and that's where I met Chi Chi during that time period there. And I got my doctor of osteopathic medicine at Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. I got my MBA at St. Joseph's University, and I did my residency at Larkin Hospital, where I was the chief resident. And now, circling to the DMV area, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, this is where we have our practice, Genesis Psychiatric Solutions, and I get to brainstorm with the mastermind right here. So yeah, so definitely everything's full circle.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. I'm so happy to talk to you. So Ifi, you said you're a doctor of osteopathic medicine, but you practice as a psychiatrist. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, and DOs and MDs are equivalent. So I went to medical school, osteopathic medical school, and I'm board certified in psychiatry, and I do therapy, do medication management. So yeah, I love it.
Okay, excellent, excellent, excellent. So you all are both very well educated, well connected to the community, and I love that you touched on your culture as well. So you talked about yourselves individually. Let's talk about you two as a unit, because that's what we really want to know is more about you as a unit. So can you all go into a little bit of your love story?
So I'll let her go.
So we met at Hampton about a month before he graduated, and he was getting ready to go to med school, and I was getting ready to about a couple years before I finished pharmacy school. And so I was just like, yeah, so this isn't gonna work because I don't, do long distance, never have. And he's like, no, we're Nigerians, this is what we do, so we're doing long distance. And so literally for the entire relationship, we were long distance, and we finally became in the same household 5 years ago. So we did long distance about 12 years before.
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
12 years.
Yeah.
And
like
dating,
a small gap we were together for.
Yeah. So like dating, marriage, 2 kids, long distance. And so 5 years ago, finally in the same household.
And when you say long distance, where were you both living?
So at first it was Hampton,
to Philadelphia.
Philly, then
Okay.
Philly, then Maryland, Florida. Oh no, then Georgia, Florida, and then Maryland, Florida.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, and so you all were long distance. So you've been together shorter than you've actually been. Yeah, you've lived together for a shorter time than you've actually been together as a couple.
Yeah.
Yep.
So communication is huge for you too.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of phone calls.
So can you talk a little bit about, yeah, wow, right? So can you talk a little bit about and how long have you officially been married?
10 years.
Yeah, November would be
11.
11. See, you are on it. Okay.
Yeah.
He was like,
I know.
yeah, 11. Yeah, November will be 11 years.
Good, good, good. This is good stuff. So you've been together for 10 years. First of all, I want to say congratulations. A lot of couples that I see in couples therapy, a lot of couples that I see in couples therapy, they are typically, usually they come in and they talk about communication. Communication is always like the number one issue for couples. But really, when they come in, it's usually a little bit more going on than communication. Usually, it's actually a lot more going on. So, being long distance and then coming together, can you all talk a little bit about like how was that? You're laughing. I don't know what that's about.
Man. So yeah, it was a journey, but the thing is that frequent flyer miles were the best thing. Like I would always fly to come see her, or take an Amtrak. Take an Amtrak to see each other. Or when I was in like Hampton, between Hampton and Philly, would either drive down to see each other or the Amtrak. So communication is key in like being strategic about this long distance relationship. So how often are we going to see each other? Um, are we going to be rotating? Like you come see me, I see you. So,
One person has to be the organizer and the planner, because that's extremely important. And it's so interesting because when we talk to other like young couples and things like that, you know, I don't even realize like the entire time we just talked on the phone. We actually never did FaceTime. We never did Skype. It was literally just words on the phone. And I think that made us like really strong because I can hear like the tone changes in his voice. Like seriously, and he can hear mine. Because almost like we're like trained to like hear how the other person is feeling without using words, just from those years of just talking on the phone.
So, Chi Chi, this question is for you. What was it about EFI that you agreed? And I'm making a lot of assumptions here, okay? And I'm kind of inserting myself because I hear you when you say we're Nigerian and we're going to do a long distance. But that's still a lot. Like you're talking about, you have two children. You two have two children together. And so what, from your perspective, Chi Chi, what was it about EFI that you agreed to kind of stay this course, this long distance course? What was it?
You mean from before we got married and had kids and everything?
Yeah. Yeah, because that's a long time to be away from your man.
Honestly, I would say it's his spirit. Like, I remember, literally praying to God about everything that I wanted in a husband, down to like everything. And he literally met all of those check boxes. And he just gave me like peace of mind. Like, I never worried about what he was doing. I never, he was very like open and transparent. I met all his friends. All his friends are female friends. I met all of them. Like, it was never like a question or a doubt or anything. And so I just always felt safe, and he just gave me peace of mind. So then that's how I knew that he was worth, riding through life with.
Mm-hmm. That's huge. Peace of mind and safe. You know, those are usually not the things that we think we're looking for. I'm not married. And when I talk to like other people who are single, we usually don't say those are things we look for when we're looking for a significant other. So it's really interesting to hear you say that and describe that, because what it sounds like is you were building a foundation, and building a foundation on not the superficial things, but the things that were core to who you are and core to your heart. Ifa, for you, what was it about Chi Chi that made you want to continue to pursue her and stay in this long distance relationship with her?
No, Chi Chi is loyal, and that's one thing I love about her. And one thing I love her fire in her, and that's the thing that keeps us going. That she doesn't want me to be mediocre. She wants me to be the best. She pushes me to be my best self. But I just love her, the way she cares for people. And I knew that when I was dating her, I knew she was gonna be a great wife, a great mother, because I saw the way she mentored, younger people, how she's loyal to her friends, family. I love that about her. And she's authentic. She's herself. She doesn't hold back. So that's one thing everybody knows. Chi-Chi's blunt. And so I grew a lot, I evolved from being married to her. So like, I'm not the same guy that people knew 15 years ago, because we've been together like about almost 15 years. Yeah, I'm not the same guy anymore. And so people meet me and like, whoa, who's this guy? It's just like, I evolved, and she made me a better man.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So again, I don't know, ladies, if you all heard this. He talked about loyal again, but you all are saying things that are more about your personality than again on the outside. Loyal, the fire inside of her. I didn't hear you say anything about her, the way her body moves when she talks. I didn't hear you say,
Don't give me in trouble. Yeah, like, yeah. But that.
So, go ahead.
No, she knows, like, that's outside of her intellect and passion, but her physical features too. That's me. And so she's too like, leave me alone. Like when I'm at the house, I'll be like chasing her.
So the physical is important. So so that still is important. So we still have that feature there. But for the longevity and to get through a long distance relationship. And so now you all are together. You've been living together for 5 years now. And your marriage, can you talk a little bit about what it's like being married? Just, everybody always says marriage is hard. What is it like from you all's perspective of being married?
Well, just like, I want to say we don't have, I don't want to say like, we don't have like the world's like perfect marriage, but I think for me personally, I don't think marriage is hard. Because, with him, I don't, I don't even, I mean, from, like dating kids, and then now with him here, I mean, for us, it's just about, we're always communicating. We talk like so much throughout the day. Mm-hmm. Like at work, or whether he's like seeing patients, we have like our group chat, me and him, on his way home, like we're on the phone. So even though we live together, we're just always talking, and it could be about anything. So to me, it's just like, you're living with your best friend and just your go-to person all the time. That's how I feel about him.
Oh, Chi-Chi, you make this sound so easy. Ifa, what about you?
No, I'm opposite, because marriage to me is like hard work, but in a good way, because, I want to make sure it's still good, that I'm still attracted to her physically, mentally, emotionally, and she's my best friend. So that's definitely, but also that I have to make sure that I just don't think of her as the girl I met in 2006, but see her as a mother, you know, a doctor, all of these things that she is. I have to now evolve with who she is, because that's where I sometimes see, you know, as a psychiatrist, I see some patients who are stuck with their, you know, the way they met the person, and they're not going along for the ride and that evolving. We all evolve. And so that's the thing is, and that's why some couples have struggles, because they're like, oh yeah, you changed when but it's the person evolved, but you didn't evolve with them.
That's true, because, you know, I know some of the conversations we've had in the past, you know, him and I, like our needs when we were dating changes ever so often. And so this is where like communication is important. Like sometimes we'll like, you know, we'll be sitting there and then we'll ask each other like, you know, are your needs met? What would you want me to do more of? What could you do without? What would you like less of? Like just in conversation, whether it could be how we react to situations, whether it could be things we want, just because, especially I can say from a woman's perspective, you know, and as a mother, what you need from your spouse is changing, especially too as your body changes, your mind changes, you take on more responsibilities in the household and things like that. And so, you know, I mean, I'm not an expert or anything, but I do find that sometimes there's problems when, you know, as he mentioned, both people aren't adapting, you know, to the growth and the change within each other. And so we do have like check-ins as well to make sure that we are, you know, still meeting those needs.
And no growth of growing apart, because that's why some people struggle is when they grow apart, the interests change. And so we do have the same interests, so that's important. Like we like to travel, we like sports, we're about our children, we like TV, and we're both homebodies to a little sense where but we do like to go out though, but we're in the same pace. That's like, like socially, whenever we're in the same pace, so that makes it easy. And so,
So it's really interesting you say that. So my boyfriend talks about this a lot, about being equally yoked. And for those who are non-religious, having the same values and having the same interests. And so that sounds like that's really important. As you talk about this, it sounds like that's really what helps keep you all to both grow in the same direction, you know, but that you can share those interests. So, you know, we talked before and you also mentioned family, and I thought that was really, really important. Can you say a bit more about the role of family when we talk about values?
Yeah. So when we first started dating, we knew that it was going to be like, you know, like serious. We incorporated like our family. When we first started dating, we found out that our fathers actually went to the same school in Nigeria, and we didn't know that at first. So that was like, you know, a big surprise. But then, you know, afterwards, you know, we brought like our siblings together. So we as a family, you know, when my siblings like graduated, his parents, his siblings, they were there. When we've had like birthday parties, things like that, my siblings are there, his siblings are there. We even have like a family WhatsApp group that includes his siblings, my siblings, and their spouses in the group. And so to me, and I think even with him, if we're ever like doing anything or traveling or whatever, it's like a no-brainer. His siblings and family are on the list as though they were mine, and vice versa. So it's pretty much like going from like 3 other siblings to now having like 5, 2 more from his side. So yeah, so that's, and vice versa, and that's how it is for him too.
That's so huge, because as I mentioned before, you don't marry the individual. There was a picture when I was in grad school, I learned this. You don't marry the individual, you marry the family. Yep. So, you know, and I think when you're dating, it's important to spend time around their family, because you get to really see kind of, oh, that's why they act like that, or oh, that makes sense. You know, you really can see where they're coming from, and it helps you to see what type of person you're dealing with, because you are an extension of your family. And so I love to hear how you say that both of your families, get along and you all bring each other together, because it sounds like that also helps to build that solid ground, that base, which is really, really vital in a relationship. So a question I have when we talk about communication. So one of my boss always talks about when she's dating, when in the past, she's married now, but when she was dating, to really talk to, she speaks to the king in her man. Okay, let's kind of go there for a minute. So she really talks about really speaking to the king in him. And when you speak to the king in your man, it's almost like he becomes even more confident, because he has someone that has his back no matter what. He has someone that and in doing so, he also speaks to the queen in you. So it goes hand in hand, but she was just speaking from her perspective. So don't jump on me, ladies. But she's speaking from her perspective, because it goes both ways. But as you all know, there are times when that can be really hard, when your feelings are involved, when someone has said something that has irritated you, that has gotten on your nerves, that has offended you. It can be very hard to still speak to the king and queen in each other and to be very vulnerable. You all have been doing this for 10 years. And I'll just say one thing about myself that I notice is that now that I'm in a relationship, communication is, I know it in theory, but in practice, it looks different. And it's not easy. Like I said, when your emotions get in the way, can you talk a little bit about how you all navigate around that?
Yeah, so a hot there was a lot of growth with that, because I'm more of an internalizer, and she was just, oh, there you putting it under the rug. I sweep it under the rug. Now take it and move on, and nothing happened. And versus her, she verbalizes what's on her mind, and so when she does that, she feels like it's off her chest and she moves on, no matter how heated our conversation is. And then she notices when I explode, like in the arguments, it's because I've been sweeping things under the rug. And so with that, we've learned through the years to communicate then and there. And so we grew about that, and we evolved. We have difficult conversations, but we respect each other after that. Even if we don't talk to each other for like a couple hours, or when I give each other space to process it, either I come and apologize, say sorry, or she will do something, to show her gesture. She's more, she's not saying sorry. So she'll say, hey, I got you your favorite meal. I'm like, oh, okay. Or say, hey, I have something for you, come upstairs, and then so I know that, so
that's my sorry.
Yeah, that's sorry. Yeah, so exactly. So yeah.
And I think also, and I will credit this part to him being in the mental health space. So he actually was the one that suggested that we do like a couples therapy, not because there was like any issues or anything, but that it's always good to like grow as a couple. So we do that just to see, like I said earlier, just to make sure that there are no like built up feelings from however many years ago, and that the door of communication is open. And for me personally, I strongly encourage that. And then we each have our own personal one as well, where we can also, upload and share as well. And I think that is just like so important, because, people always equate like speaking to like a couples therapist or speaking to a therapist about when there's like a problem or something, but not necessarily. Just like when you take your car to get a service, you're not taking your car to get a service because the engine blew out. You're taking your car to get a service so that you won't have a problem in the future. And so that's how we view individual therapy and couples therapy.
Yeah, I definitely am glad about that, because like we have peace of mind in our relationship. We have peace of mind, and I'm so happy that we do the therapy, especially for me being a mental health professional, because in our field we take on a lot. And
A
so
lot.
yeah, so for me, this is my way to unpack, because that way I don't, you know, put it on her or the kids, and they're like, because when I'm seeing my patients from 9 to 8 or whatever time I finish, I have to put it on. I have to have that Dr. Lele energy. I got to be on. But then after that, I'm just like, you know, drained. And but going seeing a therapist, individual, to talk about my issues and what's going on in a relationship, how I could grow. I'll say that having the therapist, the two therapists in my life, has been one of the best emotional investments I've ever made. And because like me and Chi Chi, we're like this, and that's a fine tuning that I can't, you know, I don't regret.
You all have just like brightened my heart. Thank you for just promoting couples therapy. I love what you just said. Like you go to get an oil, you know, I just got to get on my soapbox for a moment because this is what I do. But you go get your car to get an oil change, or you get an inspection or whatever it is. Not, and you do that as a preventative measure. You go, you know, some people go to the doctor for a checkup just to make sure everything is running smooth. And I agree. That's when couples therapy can be very valuable. But so often, people are just usually against the idea of talking to someone, that they wait until they are like hopeless. And at that point, it can be really hard to make repairs. It's almost like bringing a car into the mechanic that it doesn't start. Like someone had to push it in to get there. And it's like, whoa, this needs a lot of work. So thank you for promoting that. So you talk about couples therapy, you know, your check-ins that you do. What else do you all do to keep that, you know, open line of communication and just keep your connection going?
So I don't know if this is from maybe us just where we lived apart for such a long time, but once he finished and moved back, we came to the agreement that at least once a year, more than once a year, but at a minimum once a year, we would travel somewhere out of the country, or, you know, it's usually out of the country, just the two of us, no kids, just, it could be up to a week, it could be 2 weeks. We've done that one time, it was like 2 weeks, and it's just us and nothing else. You know, just getting a chance to talk, enjoying each other's company, all of that. We've been pretty consistent in doing it every year, pretty much. And then there's some years that we go more than once. And then even stateside, you know, we'll sometimes do like impromptu trips somewhere stateside, no kids. I mean, the kids are now used to it, that, you know, they're used to it.
They're looking forward to go to.
Yeah, no, they're like, Africa's always traveling without us. I mean, they just have to know that it's, you know, we love our kids. You know, we have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. We love them, but then it's also important that for us to be the parents that they need us to be, we also have to be a strong unit on the same page. And so we do stuff with the kids. We have our time with them, but we also just have our own time. And it can come in the form of like we work out together. You know, in the mornings when we have like our trainer, we work out together every morning. You know, we'll do like, you know, movie nights together. You know, we just came back from a playoff game a couple weeks ago of just the two of us, a basketball playoff game, just the two of us. So we do things like that together, but it's just very important, especially for the couples who have kids. It is very, very important to have your time with your spouse so that there's like no resentment. Yeah. Even like now, like sometimes our kids will say like, oh, we want to sleep in the same, we want to sleep with you guys tonight or whatever. And he'll be like, no, you're not, go to your bed, you know. You know, occasionally we allow it, but, you know, so it's just very important, especially when you have kids, to just try to still find time for each other. Because sometimes, you know, I feel like as parents, we get so wrapped up into the kids' world that we forget about our own, you know, your spouse's world. And then one spouse may be feeling resentment, you know, towards the other. So we try to avoid that.
Yeah, to pick, just from the psychiatrist point of view, from my professional point of view, when I talk to my patients about this stuff, I'm like, this you guys dated each other. You had that energy when you're dating, and once you change the new identity as a parent, it doesn't have to kill your relationship. And that's where I see a lot of people lost. They know, like, I don't know my partner anymore because they gave up that part of their relationship. And I always say, you don't have to travel to like Qatar or anywhere, but you can go here. We're in the DC, Maryland, Virginia. Like, you could just go to the National Harbor in Maryland and just have that time. It's just like, call the babysitter or a family friend, block up times, have an appointment, date appointment time, so you guys have time to date each other. And I look forward to the times then when we go on dates, because I still feel like I have to court her, because yeah, we have to keep it, we have to keep it, spicy, whatever you want to call it, because we're in it together. So so I have to make sure that she's the right one for me, and she always has to make sure I'm the right one for her, because we evolve.
I love that. I love that. Date each other. Just keep dating each other. And I like, oftentimes you hear parents are so stressed because you're parents. And so I love how you do not mind having your own time, whether that means just not letting them in the bedroom. It can be that simple. Just making sure that your bedroom is still for you two. I love that. Dating each other. Have impromptu nights where it's just the two of you, making sure that you have that time away from your kids so that your identity as a couple doesn't, fall to the background. So I love that. So let's wrap it up with, tell me one piece of advice. You all have been doing this for 10 years, and some couples hope they can make it to 10 years. What is one piece of advice that you can give about being married and being in a relationship?
I'll say this: know your spouse's or your boyfriend, girlfriend's love languages. The reason why I say that, because this is what we all know, how we want to be loved, but sometimes we force the way we want to be loved onto our partners, and that's where we get a lot of resentment. So that's something that we have to grow from each other, from our different love languages. So we learned, and we have to it's hard sometimes, but you have to keep reminding yourself that the way I love is not the same way she or he would love. So I think that's the best advice I would say: know your partner's love language.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I would say, I know we've talked about communication, but I would say just transparency and just knowing the type of person that you're with. Meaning, like, for us, we don't have like any secrets between each other. We've got each other's passwords. We've got on everything. Like, he can pick up my phone, I can pick up his, and especially if, let's say there's like trust issues in the relationship or anything like that, where one spouse is like feeling some kind of way, like, I would say it's important to alleviate that from, your spouse. Like, that was, I'm so thankful that was never like our issue or anything like that. But it's just, when I hear a lot of like stories and things like that, it's just so crazy how sometimes it may not even be anything to it, but maybe one person feels like, why should they have my password? This is my password, this and that. But when you're married to someone, we feel like two become one. So there really shouldn't be anything that someone can come and say, oh, your spouse did this, and that you should be like, oh no, they would never. I know my spouse. Like, it should just be like, it should be like that. And if there's ever, because I feel like that's how you let like people like can come in and try to like, mess up any positive thing that like you have going on. So it's very important that between the two of you, there should be so much transparency that to the point where anyone who tries to like say like, oh, I saw this, or because some people could be messy, or oh, this person did this, whatever, it'd be like, no, I know my spouse. No, that's like,
yes,
that's like never, that like, that's just a no. Like,
yeah, and if that's the case, I'll just ask her, and,
right,
and
right.
she'll like, no, and And here's the thing, going back to the password and stuff, she could literally get my phone, go on my IG, look at all my DMs, and I'm like, all right, cool, enjoy.
Right. Or I can like, you know, even with money, like, you know, some people are like, oh, this is my money, this is your money. Like, it's not that. It's just, you know, we both work, but it's just like, oh, how much you have in your account? Oh, okay, all right, transfer this. Here's the password. Have access to this. Like, just it should just be like
you're one.
You're one. Basically, you're one.
Yeah,
I mean,
so,
that's, you know, you're one.
Yeah, and so, but she has her things she spends. Like, so we don't want to get twisted. There's things she spends her things on, and there's things I choose to spend my time on or whatnot. I do go to movies sometimes by myself. But at the end of the day, we give each other our space. But I know we're like, yo, that's, you know, that's my girl. So no way can.
And our personalities are so different.
Yeah,
but it works.
Oh yeah, right. It works. Your personalities are different because you're different people, but you still share same values. So, thank you all so much. I sincerely appreciate that you all gave me this opportunity to interview you or talk to you and just to share, and that you all were willing to share about your personal relationship. Thank you so much. Is there anything you want to say to the viewers before we end?
I want to say this, and this is because I'm a Christian and a believer, and I know there's people that are single right now, and you're always saying, why is it not working? I'm going to say this. Every no or failure in relationships leading you to your person, because think about it. All of the no's or failures or whatnot, or the yeses I didn't say, got me to my wife. Because if I went with somebody that said no or yes, I would have not met my wife, and I may have not had my kids. And so I believe it's God's timing and God's planning, because you just let God do the work. And yeah, you may have had a bad breakup, but God's saving you for your partner. And that's what I am so like, I believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly.
And for me, I would just say, you know, I know some people will say like, oh, like they're hesitant to get married, and they'll be like, oh, once you get married, like your life is over, it's a wrap. You know, I hear that like all the time. And you know, I can honestly say that when you're with the right person, life is just beginning. And it is such a different, like, I mean, it just makes you so much stronger. It's almost like you like put on like a double shield or whatever to navigate like this crazy world we call life. So, you know, for anyone who's thinking about it or who's like, you know, nervous about it, just really think about not where you are at this moment, but what you are looking for down the line and down the future, because that it's not your current state that is it's not your current state that you need or that you are looking for a partner. It's life down the line. That person is going to be with you through thick and thin. You know, you never know what's going to happen to you in your life. So just having that partner down the line, rather than just focusing on the now. Who are you compatible with, or who do you think you're going to be with down the line?
And build generational wealth with you.
All right, okay. Thank you all so much. Please continue to follow me, Dr. Sheena_H. You all have a really great evening, night, morning, wherever you are looking at this, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye.